Hi, welcome to Vinyamaggio. So today I'm going to show you one of our workshops that we're going to be running for Easter, and it's going to be eco-printing onto eggs. So this is a technique that you can use with natural dyes and real eggs to produce this delicate effect on the egg for the decoration for Easter eggs. You can either do this with eggs that are full, because during the process you can cook them and boil them so they'll be end up cooked and you're not going to break them. Or you can do this by emptying them first, and to do that you make a little hole in the top and a slightly bigger hole in the bottom, and you blow the egg out so it removes all the insides of the egg and you're left with just the eggshell. This means that the egg and the decoration is going to last for as long as you like, as long as you don't break the shell, but obviously it's a little bit more delicate, so if you're working with younger children then maybe the better option would be to leave the egg full and you can just boil it in part of the process to cook the egg inside. And then, this will mean that the egg's going to last for a week or two anyway, so long enough to last over your Easter decoration time. So for this workshop, this technique, you're going to need some eggs, some real eggs, and you're going to need some kind of dye. In this instance, we're going to make a dye from onions, so onion skins. And I have pre-made the dye here, so whether you're going to use onion skins or red cabbage or coffee or another type of natural dye, the technique is the same. So you're going to add the material to some water and gently heat it up in a pan until the material releases its colour. So here we've got the onion skins in water that have been brought to over a bit of heat until they've released their colours. So that's there ready for you. You will also need some kind of thin material. In this case, I'm using some stockings or tights, just an old pair of tights that have been cut up. Something that's going to allow the colour through, so you want a thin fabric. And something to tie the fabric, so you could use an elastic band, or I've got some flexible wire here. And then, of course, you're also going to need your plants, which are going to act as your resist on top of the eggs. So you can just go outside and make a selection of whatever is available to you. Here we've got some little daisies, some margaritas, we've got some just some leaves and some delicate flowers just from the garden here at La Fattoria. And even these delicate shapes are going to work really well. So look for something that's got a nice shape to it, and select your plants that way. So to start, you need to take your egg, and the process is very simple. You're going to choose whichever flower, whichever stencil you want to use, and try and get it to rest on top of the egg. So this bit can be a little bit fiddly, and I find that if you want the flower to stick to the egg whilst you're trying to put the material over, sometimes if you put a bit of water there, then it helps the flower stay in place. So once you've made your composition on the egg, you can then take the fabric and you're going to wrap it around the egg and twist it like so. And this is to make sure that the flower that you've put on the egg has got a good contact with the surface of the egg, and that's what's going to give you your print in the colour. So once you've twisted the fabric, you can then use your elastic band or your bit of wire. I find this flexible wire is a bit easier, definitely easier than string because that's quite fiddly, or an elastic band has worked just as well. So at this point, we're ready to put our egg into the die. So once you've got your plants and your design securely fastened onto the egg by the material and tightened at the back, make sure you've got a good contact, and then you can put the whole egg into the die. So here I still have the onion skins and the water, and you can let your eggs soak in there. Now really you want to let that soak for as long as possible, even overnight. If you're doing this at home, you can leave it soaking overnight and the colour will get more and more intense the longer you leave it. But depending on what colour, what kind of dye you're using as well, the onion's pretty strong, red cabbage is pretty strong as well, coffee works very well. So within 20 minutes then you should see a result. And also if you're at home, you can do this whilst it's in the pan and you're making the dye at the same time, so you can do that all in the same stage. Okay, so after half an hour or an hour, or overnight if you can, is the best to get the most intense colour. You can take your egg out of the dye and open it up, remove the tie and the material. Like so, take the plant off, and you should have the relief print on the egg. So that's the colour from the onion has stained behind, and the flowers left the relief print for your image. At this point you can then cover it with a little bit of oil once it's dry to give it a nice gloss, and leave your eggs to decorate as you wish. So thanks for joining me, and maybe we'll see you here at Vignomaggio at Easter. Bye!